Hello and welcome back. This is the Lost Adventure, and we have decided to go along with Professor Dungeon Master's suggestion to make July Independent Tabletop RPG Month. With that in mind, we have chosen to cover some adventures from the basic fantasy RPG. And today's adventure is Gold in the Hills by Ray Allen. Gold in the Hills can be found in AA1 or Adventure Anthologies number 1. It's a straightforward one-day adventure for 2 to 4 characters of level 1 to 3. To implement it into your campaign only requires the following: an abandoned dwarven mine, goblins, hobgoblins, and dwarf automatons, though you can replace these with golems if automatons aren't your thing. And that's it. It's not asking for anything too outlandish other than the automaton. The book gives a few plot hook ideas. So the gist is, goblins are in an old abandoned mineshaft, an old abandoned dwarven mineshaft that is thought to be, out of gold. There's no more gold left in the veins, so that's why the dwarves abandoned it. Well, an earthquake happened, revealing a new vein of gold that the goblins are now mining. And we use the term mining loosely because we're talking about goblins here. So anyways, the goblins are mining this gold, and they are now using gold nuggets as currency to buy weapons and armor and all sorts of new stuff. Now, the hooks the players are supposed to use, or is given as ideas for the players to use into getting into this little one-shot, are the following. 1. They encountered goblins with gold nuggets in their pouches. 2. Part of a previous adventurer's payment was done or given in gold nuggets, or were paid in gold nuggets when selling items. Like if they returned back or were selling items that they had gotten off the bandits they killed, the merchant offers to pay them a little bit more in gold nuggets rather than regular gold coins. And 3rd, they were guards for a merchant who sold the goblins weapons for gold nuggets. Truthfully, the last two could be combined. The merchant could hire the PCs as guards and pay them in gold nuggets rather than gold coins, and mention how he got the nuggets from goblins. Either way, in our opinion, it is best to combine any of these with the final one. The PCs are in a village or town where they are asked by someone, a guard, mayor, family member, bartender, guildmaster, to follow up on some prospectors who went missing looking into an old abandoned dwarf mine. Yep, the one the goblins are currently in that the villagers don't know is currently occupied by goblins. Thus begins the adventure. A half day's to a day's travel, this is intentionally vague to make it modular, is where the PCs will find the mine. We should mention there is a small local map in the book, but we're not using it, but here it is if you want to. Now here is the adventure map itself. Section 1. This is the entrance. It is occupied by 2 goblins. If the players sneak up to them, they will find them sleeping, which is boring, we think. Instead, go with the other option. As the foolhardy players come upon the entrance, the goblins will fire off 1 volley of arrows, then retreat into the mines. One will stop here and activate section number 2. What is section number 2? Why, it is a pit trap, a 35-foot by 10-foot long trap that is also 10 foot deep. Now, there's nothing else beyond this in the description, so we would put its weight limit at about 500 pounds before it gives out, and if spikes are your thing, you can fill it with those, or you could fill it with some sort of putrid liquid like goblin waste, which will cause any players that fall into it to save versus poison or have a constitution save to stop from getting a negative modifier or the poison condition. Now, after they get through this part, they'll reach the T intersection. To the left is section number 3, which is an elevator that could lead to the Underdark or a lower level of dungeon, DM's choice. Or you could just make it stuck. Either way, there is a monster lurking in the mechanisms, a tentacle worm. What's a tentacle worm, you ask? Why, it's a 3-hit die giant worm with 6 tentacles which paralyze enemies. It's very, very, very similar to something called a carrion crawler, a classic D&D monster that you just don't see enough of anymore. Also included for this encounter is a percentage chance the elevator ropes will snap, causing the elevator itself to fall down 100 feet and crash, and cause a whole lot of damage to the PCs. Now, if the players go in the other direction, Section 4 is the big battle, given as two different descriptions of how this encounter will go. The first one has the players sneaking up on the goblins and finding the following. There is 15 goblins along with 3 hobgoblins working the mines, and the 3 hobgoblins are sort of bullying the goblins. Now, this only happens if the guards have not warned them beforehand of the incoming player characters. If they are warned, the players will face off against not only the 15 goblins and 3 hobgoblins, but also the rest of the people inside of the mine. Well, except for a minor part, we'll get to that later. But the other people inside the mine include a hobgoblin chief, a hobgoblin shaman, and a hobgoblin guard for the chief, who is like a upper level hobgoblin. And in this location, they will fight to the death. Under a pile of rubble here is a dwarven automaton or golem who can assist in the battle if there is someone who can speak dwarven and knows the command words. However, it can only follow 2-word commands such as go dig or attack enemies. And when it begins to attack enemies, it will start off first by attacking the traditional enemy of dwarves, so goblins, and if none are present, the nearest object or creature. In this alcove right here is a non-functioning automaton or golem, which could be repaired. There is a little bit inside the book describing about how they could repair it and how much money they could possibly get by bringing it back to the village or town and selling it. Section 5 is the lair or the barracks of the goblins, which is occupied by 5 goblins. These 5 goblins will not join the fight in Section 4 because today is their day off and they don't even want to look at the mines. So after defeating the goblins in Section 4, they'll run into these goblins. There's 5 of them, and fighting them shouldn't be too hard after facing off against, the 20 or so enemies you just faced off against. But I kind of find it humorous to have a group of goblins that are just like, today's not my day, not my problem. And the final section, Section 6, is the location of the chief and his 2 guards. If these 3 had not been warned of the attack and weren't fought in Section 4, they'll be here. There's also a chance they would still respond to Section 4 if more than 6 rounds of combat goes by, in which case they'll leave Section 6 to go help the fight over there. But if that does not happen, the 3 can be found right here. You got the hobgoblin chief, who is a 2-hit die hobgoblin who has a ring of protection +1. One of his guards is actually a shaman with a spell book, and the spell that he has prepared for the day is Magic Missile, and the final hobgoblin is just a max HP 1-hit die hobgoblin. Nothing too special, but it's a good ending point, and a boss that's not too hard, and make players feel like they accomplished something by finishing the adventure and fighting off against what seems to be the boss. There's also a chest in here with about 500 gold pieces worth of treasure in it and 2 potions of healing. It is trapped with a dart, but no poison or anything else like that. Just the character that opens it without disarming the trap gets hit by a dart that does 1d4 damage. And that's it for the adventure. What could we easily add? Well, in Section 4, we could add the supposed missing prospectors being used as laborers, or, you could include some of their things in the treasure at the end to be able to bring back to the town and be like, hey, sorry about your prospectors, but they're dead. There's also the role-playing possibilities of what your players will do with a gold mine of theirs. Will they sell it off? Does someone already claim it? Rewards for returning that to the rightful owner? Maybe a way to introduce a new benefactor for the party. Either way, there's possibilities here. It just requires a little bit of, creativity and imagination. Now for the ratings. This adventure itself, I'm going to give it a 3. It's okay. Sort of one track without much else, but still good. This is almost to the level of a 1-page dungeon. For value, this gets 5 stars. The entire book in PDF is free, or you can buy it for $5 to $6, and the book also includes 7 other adventures. So go ahead and buy it. It's worth the cost. Just for coming up with new ideas and, causing those creative fluids to work in your brain. For deadliness, I'll give it a 3. For a group of level 3 characters, it would be maybe 2. But for a group of level 1 adventurers, this is definitely pretty deadly. I'd probably give it a 4. So we're going to go for the middle number, which is 3. And that's going to be it for today. We hope this is found to be useful to someone out there, and we'll see you all next time. And don't forget to subscribe. Goodbye.